And welcome back to Fox 5's On the Hill this Sunday here on Fox 5. Trump's attempts to overhaul the government have his supporters cheering him on right now, but he is still facing several legal challenges and confusion amongst federal workers. What are the limits of presidential power under the Constitution? David Super is a constitutional law professor at Georgetown University, and we appreciate you joining us live here this Super Bowl Sunday.
Thanks for having me.
President Trump was elected. You can dispute whether or not this is a mandate from the voters, but he is the commander-in-chief. How far does that power go as to what the Constitution says it goes?
Well, the Constitution says that the president shall take care that the laws are faithfully executed. So his power is subordinate to the laws passed by Congress. Those laws give him a lot of flexibility, and he can and should use that flexibility according to his best judgment, but he is bound by the law.
Now, for those of us who are not constitutional law professors, we probably do remember history class at least, and we remember that there are three branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Now, those are all supposed to be checks and balances to each other, but President Trump has done a lot of these efforts through executive orders. Are executive orders constitutional?
The president has powers and can exercise them any way he wants. He can issue an executive order, he can say something in a news conference, he can say something on a golf course. But the question is not how he says it, but whether he has the power to do it.
Now, some of these things have already wound up in the courts. There's going to be a hearing tomorrow in Boston in U.S. District Court looking at the buyout offer. We're expecting there are going to be other challenges, other court cases coming down the line. In fact, Democratic Senator Tim Kaine told us this past week that is part of the Democrats' strategy. So should we just brace ourselves for endless federal court hearings and eventually all this winding up at the Supreme Court one way or another?
I think this is certainly going to the Supreme Court, and sooner rather than later. President Trump has made a very bold decision that he doesn't believe many federal laws are constitutional. He believes he can disregard large numbers of federal laws. Naturally, he's getting sued for disregarding those laws, and we'll see whether the Supreme Court agrees with him.
Are there things in the Constitution that limit the president's power?
Yes, the most important is the power of Congress to pass and, of course, repeal laws. So when he tries to do something like, say, get rid of the Department of Education, which is created by law of Congress, he's effectively trying to repeal that law, and that he can't do.
So Congress would have to eventually, at some point, if they want to go along with this, craft legislation that would eliminate a department of the federal government and then put that through the normal legislative process till it gets to the presidential desk?
Right, and they can eliminate any departments they want. Every department was created by Congress. George Washington didn't create the State Department, the first Congress did, and they can get rid of any of these departments they want, but that's a matter of law that has to be decided by Congress.
Now, put on your pundit hat for a minute here. Given the conservative makeup of the U.S. Supreme Court right now, how likely is it or not likely is it that a lot of these things that the Trump administration is trying to do right now will eventually come to happen because there is this conservative majority on the court?
It's a conservative majority, but I think it's also composed of judges who take their responsibilities quite seriously. And where there's discretion for the president, I think they'll give him a great deal of it. But where he's blatantly violating a law, I think they're going to feel their job is to pull him back.
Curveball for you. One of the things the president has spoken about when it comes to the Constitution is the provision that presidents can only serve 2 terms. It's gotten a lot of attention. Some people have kind of laughed about it. Some people have kind of raised an eyebrow to it. How hard or easy would that be to undo?
You'd have to amend the Constitution, which would require 2/3 majorities in both chambers of Congress and 3/4 of the states to agree. I'm guessing that's not going to be easy.
As you look at the portfolio right now of legal challenges, especially with this buyout offer right now, is this something that you think the courts will wind up having to go up the ladder? Will every one of these be appealed if the Trump administration or the people who brought the suit don't get their way?
I think that one of these cases, and I have no idea which one, will go to the Supreme Court fairly quickly. And the Supreme Court will tell us whether laws still bind the president. Because his argument on all of these is the same, that I don't have to follow the law. And the Supreme Court's either going to say, yes, you do, or no, you don't. If they agree with him on one of these, all the other cases fail. If they disagree with him on one of these, I think all the lower courts will aggressively block his illegal actions.
Of course, this is the same court makeup that granted him wide immunity as well, too. We appreciate your time. David Super is a Georgetown constitutional law professor.